In this video, we cover the shocking news of Yahya Sinwar, a prominent Palestinian leader, and the mystery surrounding his reported death.
Israeli sources claim that Sinwar, a key figure in the resistance against Israeli occupation, was killed in a fierce battle during a raid in Gaza.
However, questions remain about the accuracy of these reports, as some analysts doubt Israel's narrative.
Sinwar's legacy as a leader, strategist, and symbol of the Palestinian cause lives on, even amidst the uncertainty of his fate. Watch the full breakdown of this developing story and its implications for the future of the region.
For years, they couldn't find him or figure out how he communicated with his soldiers in complete secrecy.
It's Yahya Sinwar, and today Tel Aviv announced his martyrdom.
Many scenes and investigations by the Israeli army and Netanyahu is full of joy. But where is the truth in all of this?
Yahya Sinwar was released in a prisoner exchange deal between Palestinian factions and the Israeli army several years ago, but he never forgot his cause or the cause of his country. When the flames of the October 7th attack ignited, he emerged as a leader of the Palestinian factions, confusing Netanyahu's army with many plans and political maneuvers.
They couldn't catch sight of him, and it was even rumored that he once moved from one city to another under Israeli protection.
He speaks Hebrew well, wore their uniform, and completely disguised himself, making it to his destination. All of these reports terrify Tel Aviv, making them believe he's a ghost they can't get rid of.
Earlier today, Israel's broadcasting authority and Channel 2 showed pictures of a body resembling Sinwar lying lifeless. The body, believed to be Yahya Sinwar's, was found in the Tel Sultan area in Gaza. Tel Aviv's narrative of his martyrdom claims that he had infiltrated a house along with two of his commanders, Hani Hamidan and Mahmoud Hamidan, according to Yedioth Ahronoth newspaper.
A firefight broke out between the Israeli soldiers and Sinwar's companions, prompting Netanyahu's army to call in reinforcements, which led to the house collapsing on top of the three Palestinian faction leaders.
The Israeli army immediately launched an investigation into the incident, sending a drone to the site to confirm Sinwar's martyrdom. Several pictures were taken of the body and, well, parts of the head and left knee were crushed. The body, lying among the rubble, was wearing a vest packed with explosives and grenades, and it was claimed to be Sinwar. Investigators who had previously interrogated Sinwar during his detention in Tel Aviv years ago were immediately dispatched to confirm that the body was indeed Sinwar's. A DNA test was also conducted to confirm that the body belonged to him. However, the Palestinian factions have yet to officially announce their leader's martyrdom.
Meanwhile, some media outlets circulated a video of Sinwar, in which he stated that he would prefer to die or be assassinated by his enemies rather than die of illness in a hospital bed like others do, as this is the highest form of martyrdom in the path of God and for his homeland.
The news of Sinwar's martyrdom sparked widespread reactions across various social media platforms.
However, some analysts questioned the accuracy of the Israeli narrative, asserting that Sinwar would not have left without sufficient protection to roam the streets of Gaza. Furthermore, they argued that Sinwar wouldn't need to wear a protective vest, as he frequently appears in media interviews wearing his usual outfit, a blue or black shirt with black pants. The analysts added that Sinwar wouldn't have easily surfaced in the outside world, as living underground in tunnels is safer for him and his forces. Therefore, his emergence in such a manner is unlikely.
On the other hand, experts commented that regardless of differing opinions on the incident, the message sent to Sinwar, if he's still alive, is that he could be next. Tel Aviv had already published several pictures of Sinwar, Khamenei, Kwani, and Abdul Malik al-Houthi on its list of top wanted leaders.
The experts concluded that even if Sinwar has indeed been martyred, there are thousands more ready to step up and continue the journey. This has always been Tel Aviv's approach. Breaking news suggests that Yahya Sinwar, leader of the Palestinian factions, may have been killed during an Israeli military operation in Gaza. Sinwar, the top Palestinian leader and a key figure, was reportedly killed on the battlefield, igniting fears of escalating conflict. The Israeli military has declared a state of high alert as tensions rise, with the Middle East bracing for what some are calling the beginning of a global war.
Netanyahu's forces are facing backlash as some of the largest Israeli tanks burn on the border.
The Lebanese party has claimed responsibility for directly targeting elite Israeli forces with strikes that set Yemeni ports ablaze.
Yes, we have taken decisive action, targeting the elite forces to show our stance.
Meanwhile, American stealth fighters have bombed the largest port in Yemen, leading the Sana'a military to declare a general mobilization, vowing to retaliate.
In a statement from the U.
Netanyahu has reportedly begun preparations to strike Iran, with a target map already laid out on the table.
In response, Iran has also started preparations, targeting Israel's largest nuclear facilities. As these tensions brew, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has mobilized forces along the southern border, initiating a series of explosions along the trade routes between the two Koreas.
Russian President Putin has sent military support to Kim, further heightening global concerns.
The Israeli military and security agency Shin Bet announced today that they are investigating the possibility that Yahya Sinwar, the Palestinian faction's leader, was among those killed during recent military operations in Gaza. According to a joint statement, 3 militants were killed during the operation, and the Israeli military and Shin Bet are examining the possibility that one of the dead is Sinwar.
A senior Israeli official told Channel 12 that it appears Sinwar was indeed eliminated.
At the same time, the New York Times reported that Israeli officials had informed the United States of the possibility of his assassination.
Israeli Channel 14 also reported that the body suspected to be Sinwar's was found in the Tel Sultan area of Rafah.
An Israeli security source mentioned that Israel possesses Sinwar's DNA since he was previously imprisoned, and a match will be confirmed.
In a related development, the Lebanese party today announced that they had destroyed an Israeli tank near the southern border of Lebanon, using a guided missile following clashes with Israeli forces attempting to advance into the region. The party stated that its fighters targeted a Merkava tank in the Al-Labouneh Heights with a guided missile, causing the tank to catch fire and leaving its crew either dead or wounded.
No immediate comment was provided by the Israeli military.
Israeli Channel 13 reported today that 5 Israeli soldiers were killed and 15 others wounded in battles in southern Lebanon.
The report also noted that fierce clashes continued between Israeli forces and Lebanese fighters near the town of Al-Kawza, with heavy exchanges of gunfire.
The party claimed it had targeted Israeli forces between the towns of Al-Daisa and Marrakeh in southern Lebanon, using missiles with ongoing engagements, leaving several casualties.
Yemeni media reported early Saturday morning that 6 American and British airstrikes targeted various locations in the north and south of the capital.
Al Masirah TV stated that U.S. and British Air Forces conducted 6 airstrikes in the areas of Al-Talafiziyun and Al-Hafair, north and south of the capital, respectively. The network also added that 9 additional airstrikes targeted the areas of Kalalan and Abla, east of the city of Sada in northwestern Yemen.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin confirmed that Washington had carried out precise strikes on 5 underground weapons storage sites in areas controlled by the Houthis in Yemen, targeting facilities containing various weapons used by the Houthis to target ships.
American media outlets reported that the U.S. military had bombed Houthi-controlled weapons storage sites in Yemen, with CNN noting that the U.S. used B-2 Spirit bombers for the first time to hit Houthi positions. U.S. officials also confirmed that these airstrikes targeted both traditional and advanced weapon storage facilities used to attack ships.
According to CNN, American officials said that Israel might respond to the Iranian missile attack in November. They explained that the timeline and criteria for Israel's response to Iran had been a topic of intense discussion within Israel's cabinet, and the response was not directly tied to the US. Qatar declares war. Qatari. Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani declared that Qatar does not allow attacks to be launched from Al Udeid airbase against any country in the region or beyond, emphasizing that Qatar's goal is to prevent bloodshed.
In an interview with Qatar television, Sheikh Mohammed said Qatar does not accept attacks from Al Udeid against any country in the region or outside it. He added, "We pursued an agreement with persistence and we are not exhausted. Our goal is to stop the aggression and save lives, but there have been difficulties in the negotiations, primarily from the Israeli side."
The Prime Minister also expressed hope for a clear stance from the international community to curb Israeli encroachment in the region, considering the situation in Gaza unacceptable. Israel responds. Israeli Broadcasting Corporation reported today that the political leadership in the country had decided on the targets that would be struck in Iran.
A senior Israeli official stated that the targets are now clear, and it is only a matter of time. Yedioth Ahronoth newspaper revealed that the decision regarding the attack on Iran would fall to 3 top officials, with the rest of the security political cabinet being briefed only on the general outline of the decision.
The 3 officials include Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, and Chief of Staff of the Israeli Defense Forces, Herzi Halevi. Netanyahu announced that Israel would take the US's perspective into account, but would decide on its response to the Iranian missile attack based on its national interests, according to a statement released by his office on Tuesday.
President Joe Biden had previously warned Netanyahu against targeting Iran's nuclear or oil facilities, hoping to avoid further escalation in the region amidst concerns over global energy prices. This statement followed a report by The Washington Post on Monday, which quoted unnamed U.S. officials who said that Netanyahu had informed Biden that Israel's response would focus on military sites in Iran.
According to high-level sources, Israel has confirmed that it is in a critical stage of preparing for the expected strike on Iran after weeks of escalating tensions in the region. Israeli reports indicated that there is agreement between the political and military leadership on the targets of the attack, which include strategic sites linked to Iran's nuclear program and military infrastructure.
This comes in light of American warnings of the consequences of escalation that could directly affect global energy markets, as Washington fears the impact of attacks on Iranian oil fields and the subsequent rise in global oil prices. In this context, The Washington Post confirmed that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in constant contact with the U.S. administration, as he informed U.S. President Joe Biden of the details of the possible Israeli response.
Despite the American warnings, Israel seems determined to carry out the strike, stressing that the targets will be precisely defined to avoid further escalation in the region. On the other hand, the Iranian army is strengthening its forces in anticipation of any Israeli attack, and Iranian sources confirmed that preparations are underway to strengthen air defenses around strategic sites, including nuclear reactors and military facilities.
In light of these developments, the region remains on a hot plate, amid expectations of direct military confrontations between the two parties, at a time when fears are growing that the conflict will expand to include other parties in the region, especially with the involvement of Iranian agents in Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq.
Developments in the conflict in Lebanon. In a related context, the escalation continued in southern Lebanon, where Hezbollah militias continued to launch missiles at Israeli sites. The recent attacks targeted the Ramat David military airport in central Israel, causing panic within the ranks of the Israeli army.
Reports indicated that some of the missiles were able to penetrate Israeli air defenses, which increases concerns about Hezbollah's ability to escalate the situation if the escalation continues. Despite diplomatic attempts to contain the escalation, it seems that regional and international parties are facing great difficulties in reaching a comprehensive calm, especially in light of the insistence of both Israel and Iran on continuing the military escalation.
In conclusion, the near future remains full of tensions, as the entire world awaits the outcome of the potential confrontation between Israel and Iran and the regional and international repercussions that may follow.
Based on high-level sources, Israel is in the critical phase of preparing for its anticipated strike on Iran after weeks of escalating tensions in the region. Israeli reports indicate that there is a consensus between political and military leadership on the objectives of the attack, which will target strategic sites associated with Iran's nuclear program and military infrastructure.
This comes amid US warnings about the potential consequences of escalation, which could directly impact global energy markets due to concerns over Iranian oil fields and the possible spike in global oil prices. According to the Washington Post, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is in constant communication with the US administration, informing President Joe Biden of the details of Israel's potential response.
Despite US cautions, Israel appears determined to proceed with the strike, emphasizing that the targets will be precisely chosen to avoid broader regional escalation. Meanwhile, the Iranian military is fortifying its defenses in anticipation of an Israeli attack, with Iranian sources confirming that preparations are underway to enhance air defenses around key strategic locations, including nuclear reactors and military installations.
As the situation unfolds, the region remains on edge, with expectations of direct military confrontations between the two nations. This has raised concerns that the conflict could extend to other regional players, particularly with Iran's proxies active in Lebanon, Syria, and Iraq.
Developments in Lebanon. In a related context, the escalation continues in southern Lebanon, where Hezbollah's affiliated militias have been launching rockets at Israeli positions. The most recent attacks targeted the Ramat David military airbase in central Israel, causing panic within the Israeli Defense Forces.
Reports suggest that some of the rockets managed to bypass Israeli air defenses, raising fears about Hezbollah's capability to escalate the situation if the conflict continues. Despite diplomatic efforts to de-escalate, regional and international actors are struggling to achieve a comprehensive ceasefire, especially with both Israel and Iran seemingly committed to further military action.
In conclusion, the near future remains fraught with tension as the world watches closely to see how the potential confrontation between Israel and Iran unfolds and the broader ramifications it may have regionally and globally.